Let there be light, and there was light. Words of the said God, Mother Eve. Of course, if you're joining me for the first time, I'm speaking of Eve as in the Garden of Eden. Okay, so I've been doing this little mini series on number 20 because we're speaking on numerology, and of course, we have seen the correlation with number 7 and 20. So when we write the word 7, that gives us 20. And so we are in a 2020 cycle. So for me right now, I feel that the gods are very present in this year. None of them are on sabbatical. All the 14 gods are there making their presence felt. It's just like the whole world is awoken now. So basically, like I've been speaking about, there are two sets of creation, and there are two sets of seven gods. Although they do show up in Genesis of chapter 1 as nine gods, and then five gods in Genesis chapter 2 or 3. I'm just covering myself by saying three. And so basically, now we can see that what's happening in our world today, this lockdown in the whole world, we could say, is really, it's as if we have been fenced in, and the gods are saying now you really got to pay attention. You really got to pay attention. And of course, depending on your choice, the God is going to serve you accordingly. Basically, we are always in a position to make choices apart from what's happening now, but we can make choices on our reaction towards what's happening. This is what it is. We could choose to be fearful, or we could choose to trust. And we could also choose to call on the gods that are part of our makeup, finding where they reside in our makeup. It's like we have different organs. You have your heart, you have your lungs, you've got your kidneys, and so on, your pancreas, and all these different functions in our bodies. Likewise, the 14 gods have taken their positions or their residence, if you like, in our makeup. Now, because some of us have been so dormant, basically, and it's like the gods are saying, can't you tell that I'm here? I want to be recognized, in the sense, not necessarily for vanity, but to be counterproductive, or I should say proactive, to be proactive in our lives. And so that's why, particularly Mother Eve, and this is what I see as Mother Eve. So, Mother Eve, of course, we know of the word evil, we know of the word live. So, the word live is the positive to that which we call evil, because it's the same letters. I know I'm talking to people who understand this without me having to write it down. Liveevli. So basically, there is that cycle. Now, this is what I see here in my. I'm not quite sure exactly what the message is, but I am willing to explore. Oh, it's on. Let's see. On here. Yeah, it's on here. I'm willing to explore these figures, and because there is a pattern, there is a 4672. Sorry, let's wow, try and get you to see this. And there's also, so we see that it's like a face. If it were this way, you could say, or a page, you could fold it in. So it's a cycle or a circle. So it's 64672. Then we have 2764. So the cycle starts again, like saying 2. So it would be 2764. So 2764, 2764. So the cycle goes, repeats itself. So here we are. This is what we have seen, and that correlates. Basically, I want to, as I say, want to speak on Mother Eve and what's happening now. And I feel that Mother Eve is really kicking up a stink right now. It's like when we were growing up and our parents, in the West Indies, I think many people can relate to this, is that if it were a shoe, oh, they were classic for really picking up a shoe. A shoe seemed to have been the most convenient thing and just hit you with it. This is not to be really funny, but we, of course, especially if you escape from it, you would find it funny. Okay, it's like, oh, you missed, And but here, I think this is what Mother Eve is like, ready to pull her shoe out. And we better really don't want them having heels on them. Perhaps that's why there's something about the serpent being crushed with the heel. So basically, it's just, I'm just making the connection with heel and heels. Okay. All right, heel. So, here in the story of Adam and Eve, or creation, and God created the man and the woman and put them in the garden. Now, the word garden as well is something I want to explore. I'm just hoping I've got time to. Well, I do have time. I always have time. I'm given time. Thank you. So, it's basically they were in the garden and God gave them everything. Trying to remember if it was after, at what stage God blessed them. God blessed them. And that was when they became or blessed the man and he or them, and they became a living soul. So we are now exploring, for instance, and when God blessed them, before I go on, when God blessed them, He also said, "Be fruitful, replenish, multiply, subdue, and have dominion." So there were five commands or gifts. Those gifts were wrapped in commands. You could say they were given these five things. Now we can see how the number five correlates with Eve, because Eve is also five. The number five, Eve equals 14, and 1 plus 4 is 5. Just like Christ is 32, and 3 plus 2 is 5. Now, I'm doing these, and hopefully if you watch the videos, you'll be able to see how they all correlate and really mesh very well. That's the content. So the word garden, okay, let's go back, retract. So Mother Eve now is very unhappy because we have had the signs. She's been calling, and there, in fact, I've got videos and videos on that. Mother Calls Us Home. It's the unread letter by Crimey Queen. You could have that. Mother is calling us home. It is the lettings. She has signed the contract, and there is also the thing of saying, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." Now, for us to do that, if we don't have the specs from Mother Eve, how are we going to know what man to create? But no, we have been taught that Eve has been evil, has been the bad one, and so we should not take any advice from her, basically, because she's the one who's responsible for all the evil, whatever it is that we're unhappy with, meaning going by the extent of energy that we invest in mourning, it means that we are not happy about anything at all. So when are we ever going to be happy? When are we ever going to acknowledge that perhaps if we really take time to understand the relationship or connection that Eve had in the garden or with creation or with God, then we might begin to understand what it is we are meant to be creating. Instead of letting those who think they know what it is we are meant to create, and all AI taking away all element of humanity if they get the opportunity to do that. And so this is what we are thinking that we should go by instead of returning home to understand what it is we are meant to do. Now, the very scriptures have given us endless scenarios that teaches us we are not on our own. We weren't the first to be disobedient, and we won't be the last, I don't think. But that doesn't mean that we should really forget who we are, forget that we were created in love. And so we have had stories like the prodigal son, for instance. The prodigal son, of course, he said to his father, can you give me the share of my inheritance? And he went and squandered it. The father gave it to him, went and squandered it. And when he had nothing left after eating with the pigs and everything else, he thought, you know what, I would be much better off as a servant in my father's house. I'm going back home. And this is what we are meant to be doing now. Go back home. And this is why, everything has its polarities, everything has its parallel. And we are in this lockdown situation, which, in essence, there is a force that understands that, or there are entities or people who understands that it is necessary for us to go within our homes, to go back home. They don't know where our home is. Everyone is responsible to knowing where their home is. Your home might well be to find your purpose, that room in your house, in your heart that you keep shutting the door and keep pushing that door. It may well mean that home is unlocking the unlocking this trunk of secrets that you have been holding on so tightly because you have been ashamed. You think if someone knows that you cannot look at the world anymore, you would not exist anymore, you will not be the same person anymore. This is true. You won't be the same person anymore, but I can assure you, to let it out in the right way, you will be a far better person than you are today. It may mean that you need to go in the garden and be tempted in the garden, in your own garden. Pull some weeds out, while you're doing this. Instead of thinking, about the evil Eve, let me pull this weed out and see how I can use this as a metaphor for clearing out the cobwebs in my mind, so I will be able to now think clearly. Or take time and see, perhaps you haven't dusted an area in your room for a while, and because you have been so busy working up and down, doing mundane thing in and out, you have forgotten that there are other things that need care, that needs your attention. So these are the things that we are really meant to be exploring right now. Like I say, it could mean that trunk that you are holding on or pressing down. It could be letters you have not responded to, or I'm saying that means, on the other hand, there are other things that are still happening you won't be able to attend to. But the things you can do, how about doing them? Mend that dress. that you have been meaning to put needle and thread to, and you've been meaning to stitch. While you are stitching, use it as a metaphor, and I am now stitching my life back into place. I am stitching the rips in my life, wherever that has been ripped, that needs mending, that needs mending. If it doesn't need mending, or it's of no use, just chuck it away. And then it's like pretending again, when you were using the scissors, cut. I am cutting away things that no longer serve me. Use everything possible in your behavior, in your makeup, in your space as a spiritual metaphor for getting home, getting back home to Mother Eve. Because Mother Eve was the one who saw that everything God created, he saw it was good. She saw it was good. And Mother Eve is in everything, everything, whatsoever, whosoever, whenever. All these words with Eve in them was good. The word good equals 5. What more do we want to know, do, be, have, to understand that we are created in love? And love is the answer that we are needing right now. So I'm just going to, let's see, on the clock, okay? Wanting to make them a little short, but because we hear about people's attention span. But now, you've got time, we've got time. Let's hope we've got time. And always think we have time. Always feel that you are divinely guided. If you are meant to watch all of this video, then it's fine. If not, it's also fine. Okay. So let's look at, because here I've got this word here. Whatever is happening here is also happening there. So let us not kid ourselves. We can't run away anymore. We just can't run away anymore. So I'm looking at Mother Eve. So mother, the word mother is 462859. I probably won't do this for all the words that I'm going to put up. So this is 10, 24, 34. 3 plus 4 equals 7. Okay. Then we have, so this is mother we are talking about. Now the correlation that I really want to show you as well, which you can watch my other videos, but just to, for the sake of this video, for clarity, let's look at this. Again, as we are looking at Eve. Eve is in the middle here. Now I've also intuitively have this message from Mother Eve that the S before this word, or the S at the end of any word, is her signature, like the serpent. That's where the wisdom comes in. Okay, so the serpent was the wisest of every creature. So we have this 5, 4, 5, 5. Another thing is, wherever we see all these fives, Mother Eve is very present. Okay, so 3 fives 15 plus 4 19 plus 1 20. So here we are talking about 2020. This is 20, and I've showed in a lot of my videos that there are 14 gods. So half is 7 7, and there we have 7, and we have 20. Now I did also state in some of my videos that even the story of Eve, remember Eve may not have been just one Eve, not may. The story we are feeling and thinking that even in the story was one Eve. Eve was we could say female hair, like Adam. Okay, yes, we are all of Adam, but we are saying there could have been another Eve. And Eve, in my understanding of going over the story, she's saying to her daughter, have God said that if you eat of the fruit, you shall surely die? This is the mother who is more or less saying to her daughter, you shall not surely die. Because if you eat of this, your eyes will be open and you will be like God. She's the mother or grandmother who has the wisdom. And she's passing it on to her daughter or daughters. So the story has different layers of meaning. What we had been taught from kindergarten level has stayed with us like ABC or 1, 2, 3. And so, of course, our primary learning has been the anchor or hinges that we seem to have gone on to. And because we have not been bothered to take any further module in this learning, we seem to think that's all there is. When we have also been taught that God is infinite. Meaning, this story, even what I'm giving you, there are even more levels to it. There are levels and circles upon circles, which I saw through my writings. This is how our life is. It's cycles on top of cycles and intercycles. I saw them very clearly. So, here we have the 2 sevens. That means we would have 2020. And what I am saying right now, and if we add two sevens, a 14, of course, and 1 plus 4 is 5. And of course, when we do the numerical value for the word Eve, it comes directly 5, 4, 5 equals 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. In the very exact format. So we are seeing in this illustration that Mother Eve here in this illustration, as in the center, number 5, is forever renewing herself, and that's why we could see a snake, because Mother Eve is the serpent, but we use the word snake now because it has gone through a cycle of being cast on the ground. And the serpent, of course, we see in every religious tradition or concept that the serpent it's facing up to take its rise. It's on the tree. That's when we are ignited. That's when we are awoken. That's when we have our kundalini awakening or our enlightenment. The serpent is rising. The serpent is rising. Until then, we could say this is the snake. It's 1. Of course, the S here is the serpent. 5, 1, 2, 5. Adding this together, this is 8 plus 5. This is 13, 14. Exactly 14. Coinciding. So when you hear Mother Eve was evil in this sense of the snake, Mother Eve is everything. Here, further on in the very scriptures that we are wanting to condemn or wanting to support, it says, I, the Lord, I create both the light and the dark. I create both light and dark. It's just energy. It's just one. And it's up to us on which we are leaning or leaning towards. The light came out of the dark. Meaning everything that is happening now, the understanding of what we are exposed to now, what we call light in this sense of the story, is through Eve. Whether it seemed like a dark move, but then we understand now, we are given the opportunity to understand the characteristics of the maker, Who am I? This is why we are always faced with the question, who am I? Okay, so we see how 5 is here. And to also show the correlation with these events that are happening, and even I have also showed, for instance, the word corona, corona equals 30. I'm not going to do the figures anymore. So then that means it is free. And what is free? What does free mean in this sense? Obviously it's saying it's free to roam. It's dynamic, and free is always vibrant and full of energy. It's like if you see three people together, you might find two people walking together and they're having a conversation. But where there's three, there seem to be, that's why they say three is a crowd. Three lets its presence felt. That's what corona is doing. The word virus is 8, it's 26. It's as if it has taken on a God force by itself. In direct correlation with God, with the meaning of God, if you like. It's like a God is making its presence felt. And this is what I'm saying. Mother Eve is making her presence felt. Now, with this free, I have showed in the past couple videos that I just did, which is Corona in Numerology, to that effect. I have showed how 3 is the direct correlation or correspondence with the first letter that Mother Eve uttered in casting the spells of creation, to say, let there be light. The word the word L in itself is that it has a numerical value of 3. So the numerical value of 3 meaning L, this is why EL, for instance, is also the terminology for the gods, is a generic term for gods. So by uttering L or let, Mother Eve in this spell has encapsulated all the essence or the essences of all the gods. To say, let there be light. She carries all that force and vibration and frequency of all the other gods in saying, let there be light. Because all the gods have a degree of light. They resonate within us. Yes, they have different functions. Like the God who divided. Mother Eve says, let there be lights in the heavens to separate the day from the night. So the divided God has both attributes of light and dark. That's why we are able to go to sleep in the night and wake up in the day. Have that division. So it depends on how we choose to use the divided God. If you wanted to sleep during the day, that would be up to you. But the source is there. It has been provided for. It is up to us how we choose to use it. So we can see this correlation with 7 and 20. This 2020 is just going to be, it is already perhaps the most dynamic and crazy or whatever it is that we think or feel at this moment. But it is what it is, and it's up to us to again seek the guidance of the gods to really help us in our stead by first getting acquainted with their attributes, understanding their makeup. And they are the created God. You're ready to create? Call upon the created God. The word created has in it the word it. It has create. it has rate, it has tier. So there are all different kinds of aspect to it. Um, Negative or positive, whichever way you choose to use it. But be mindful and be conscious of that attribute. This is what it's about, raising our consciousness about these gods. Then you have the moved God. Nothing really happens without movement sometimes. Yes, there are times you need to be still. Like God says, be still and know I am God. But in this stillness, while we are just being still, like in meditation, something is still happening. We are going within. There is a spiritual movement still taking place. Relaxation is happening, meaning our muscles are getting more relaxed. There is a degree of movement. So get to understand the attributes of the said gods. Of course, we have the said God and the S. I did a video with this S, with the said God and the S at the start, which showed me how we also came around with this AIDS, AIDS. This is still the same kind of energy we are working with. The said God, it's the word. Okay, so just to go on with trying to giving you this correlation. So the word garden, because again, this draws my attention onto Emmett Fox when he says nothing can come into your consciousness unless it finds something like itself on which to attach itself onto. So basically, the garden and the serpent were one and the same. This is really something. Okay. I know it may sound a little bit crazy, but there are lots of crazy things happening around, so we are not contesting those so much. So trust me on this one. 7194555. So this is 10, 20, 27, 31. Oh, 31. 10, 20. Oh, it's 31. Okay, so 3-1. So 31, okay, that's again 31. That coincides with a cycle, coincides with what I thought it was actually 8. But if you do the numerical value for the word 8, it would give you 31. I believe so. Let's just EIGHT. This is 59782. This is 10. This is 26, 31. 31. Okay, I have a splendid memory. So we can see again the correlation of 8 here, meaning 8 is a cycle. And I haven't given you the how 8 actually comes to marries with 20. But if we did the word 20, we would have 8. So all these here are marrying very, very well. So in the garden, we have 8. 8 is 20. I believe that in the story of Sarah, for instance, Abraham and Sarah, I believe Sarah was 20. So basically, before having her child, Sarai, let's just get this, because it's good to see the correlations of the major events, because having a child at 80 or 90, as Sarah did, was something very symbolic, very grand. Nothing like that has ever been recorded again, I don't think, in the Bible, as in the Bible. So it was Sarai, Sarai. Okay, 11919. So this is 1021. And then she became Sarah. Let's see. Sarah. So 11918. So this is 9918, 1920. So that means God had changed Sarah, like I've just done, to Sarah. which means that something very huge, and I'm trying to find another word for huge, gigantic, something very symbolic is happening right now, just as when God changed Sarah's name, Sarah, to Sarah. This is what 20 does, the number 20. And I have many videos really expressing this, really showing this, that the number 20, or when 20 comes, that means there is something being planted so deep that it cannot be uprooted. It has to complete its cycle, just as what we are experiencing right now. It will complete its cycle because the new order, in whichever way you want to look at it, has to be planted. Now, I have also done many videos on this new world order as well, which coincides with number 7. So I'm feeling that I may have to do another video, not to make this too long, or perhaps just continue. I'll see how spirit guides me here, so that one could get everything in this one video. So basically, in fact, I'll put a little note up here. OWN, right? So basically, we can see that whatever is happening in our world today has a direct correlation with something as huge as when Sarah had her child Isaac at 90. That was a new world, because Abraham was the father of many nations. I think it was, or Jacob who had the 12, but Abraham was the father, or father of fathers. I will make you a new, I will make your name to be remembered. However, God made that pact or agreement with Abraham, and he went on to have Isaac, and I think Isaac had Jacob. And Jacob was the one, I think Jacob and Esau, of course. Jacob went on to having 12 sons. I hope I have this right. So 12 now also coincides with the first spell that Mother Eve utters out when she says, "Let there be light." The numerical value for that equals 12. Can we see all the correlation here in the numbers? All the correlation, the direct correlation. When Mother Eve says, "Let there be light," this equals 12. And of course, whatever is there, as I have showed in the word there, it's also here. THERE, and then we have HERE. So nothing is really separate from us. Once we begin to understand that we are implicitly whole, that whatever is out there is also in here. First of all, perhaps it's best that we look in here. What is in here? Because what is in here is organic. It has not been tampered with in the way that we are manipulating and tampering with AI and all other sorts of things. And it's not to say that those things don't have their use in our society or in our lives, because we are the ones creating those things. We all have a part playing in those things. We all are giving and sharing of our data. We all are clicking on this, "I accept." We all are saying yes. So we all are contributing in some way, directly or indirectly, to what's happening. We all sat in our front rooms watching the movie Contagion or Contagious, whichever it was. And I suppose when we are watching those kind of movies, which is directly what's happening today, we might have been in our mind saying, "I wonder, And the law of attraction has now rewarded us with this I wonder because we sat down and we watched those movies. And we looked and watched them and thought they were like fantasies or they're not really happening. But they have played, they are happening in our psyche and now we have played them out. What if we were really just being programmed, which is what we have been doing, programmed to see what is happening, even this, which is an illusion? Just for instance, we see it or feel that it's an illusion, but we have been programmed to see it as our reality, and so we are buying into it. You can't tell us otherwise because that's what we are experiencing. So, we had the garden, for instance. So we had 31. Of course, 3 plus 1 is 4. And 4 is the foundation. We know 4 is like the foundation. The 4 posts, the 4 gospels, the 4 elements we have. We've got fire, air, earth, water. And when we add this together, in fact, let's add this together. I've done that. I believe it comes to 5. So these are our 5 senses, all these fives that we are talking about correlating with Mother Eve. So fire is 11. I've done this before. Air is 1. Water is 4. Water is 4. And fire, air, water, earth. EARTH is 7. So if we add these together, this is 11, 12, 13, 14. Isn't that really something? This is 14. I know it's 5, but I didn't remember it was 14. So this is direct correlation with Mother Eve. What if the story that we have been chewing on and swallowing and regurgitating and what have you is that we have just had a kindergarten version of it, and that Mother Eve has been the orchestrator, we could say, cunning, wise. And I mean, look, if we were to look at kids in India playing with these serpents, with these snakes, actually playing with them as if they were a toy, and other people would be running a mile away. Well, miles, like 100 miles. Yeah, probably. No, I wouldn't say I would because I have been very close to a boa constrictor, very, very close in the forest in St. Lucia, and it was a huge one too. But I was just so fascinated. Okay, so there we are. We see that there is a direct correlation with Mother Eve. Mother Eve is in everything. The word everything, Every. And God saw that everything he did, he saw it was good. Hey. Now there's another thing we see, that Mother Eve has a direct correlation in the sense of 7. And this is why I'm missing out something. We have Mother Eve, a mother as in 7. We have written the word 7. We have 2020 because they're 2 serpents, and we have seen that the two-headed serpents are often used in the medical symbol or in anything else, like even in churches or buildings. We see 2 serpents. They're 2. Okay, so we have these 2. Then we see how they correlate. It correlates. Eve hair correlates with snake. Eve correlates with the 14 hair. We see the elements that we are here, the basic 4 elements. We see 14 hair as well. We see all these are happening perfectly in numerical value. Now, What we haven't touched on here is that we see, okay, let's get this out just to continue. Earth is kicking up a stink now. EARTH. And that is getting our hearts to beat now. HEART. They're the same letters. It's really that our hearts have got this external vibration. So the earth is really on feeling, it's really feeling that which we are going through. The heartbeat of ourselves is in direct correlation with the heartbeat of the earth. When we are angry, when we are going through pain, when we are going through destruction, or we are going through anything, it is reflected in the earth. And that's what is happening. And Mother Eve is saying, you need to hear. This is there. This is why in the scripture it says that he who have ears to hear, let him hear. And this is part of the heart, because the heartbeat is the air, like the air drum, the heartbeat and the air drums. There's that direct correlation. And so this is what we need to be listening. This is what Mother Eve, the serpent or the snake, has its tongue going at. Listen, listen. That's the L. We could imagine the sound coming out, because listen is coming out. This is what we are meant to be doing. And of course we have the word air, to hear. We have the word art, ART.